For some of us, our lives are guided and hemmed in by one overwhelming imperative. We must never let people down. This isn't just about a few friends and family members, but pretty much anyone who wants anything from us. It's a silent, relentless pressure that dictates our choices before we've even had a chance to consult our own desires. Perhaps someone wants to see us again for supper. We kept them entertained for one evening, a performance of wit and charm, and now they want an encore. The problem is that we really don't much like them. Their company feels like a chore, their conversation a drain. But the invitation arrives, and a familiar panic sets in. The internal monologue begins. It would be rude to say no. They'll think I'm arrogant. What if I hurt their feelings? And so, we go anyway, because how could we not? This pattern repeats endlessly, weaving itself into the fabric of our existence. The next time, and probably the 20 times after that, we give money to people we don't trust, swayed by a sob story we suspect is a fabrication. We stay up too late at parties we hate, a forced smile plastered on our face while we internally count the minutes until we can make a polite escape. We find ourselves agreeing to help a colleague with a project over the weekend, sacrificing our only time to rest. We wind up on holiday with characters we have little in common with, enduring awkward silences and stilted conversations because we couldn't bring ourselves to decline the initial suggestion. We would feel a sense of obligation to someone we just met on a tram, or even to a dog that wanted us to keep throwing a ball long after our arm has begun to ache. On our gravestone, it might as well say, "Got here a lot earlier out of an inability to say no." It's a grim joke, but it holds a terrifying truth. This isn't just about being busy. It's about a slow, systematic erasure of the self. It gets worse, of course, when emotions are involved. The kinder a person happens to be to us, and the more significant the relationship, the heavier the chains of obligation become. If we develop reservations about a partner, perhaps we see a fundamental incompatibility, a divergence in values that feels like a quiet alarm bell. We will bury those feelings under a mountain of guilt. We'll smile bravely when they speak of meeting their parents, moving in, or getting married. Who are we to harbor a contrary view? Who are we to break their heart? What gives us the right to turn away their genuine enthusiasm simply because we happen to feel a little uncomfortable and, intermittently, somewhat nauseous? This nausea is our soul's cry for help, but we've learned to interpret it as a personal failing, a sign of our own inadequacy. There tends to be a history behind these deep-seated feelings of obligation. This isn't a flaw we were born with. It's a strategy we learned in order to survive. Way back in childhood, the key people around us, the ones who were supposed to be our safe harbor, were likely not overly interested in our sincere needs. Our emotional landscape was seen as an inconvenience. What did it matter how we were feeling about school, or a friend who was cruel, or the strange, persistent pain in our tummy when a big, important person had something properly vital going on in their world? Our feelings were secondary. We might have needed to tread extremely carefully, becoming exquisitely sensitive to the moods of others, lest we encourage yet another bout of rage, a long, silent sulk, or a self-pitying explosion that would engulf the entire household. In that environment, expressing a need was a risk. So, it was probably best not to mention that we desperately needed the bathroom during a long car ride, or that we weren't having fun at the museum they had so looked forward to, or that we would really have liked another slice of cake. We learned a dangerous equation. My needs equals trouble. My compliance equals safety and love. A manic sense of obligation in adulthood is the logical, tragic consequence of key people's historic lack of obligation towards us. So how do we begin to untangle this? It can feel like trying to rewire our very soul. The way out begins with a crucial shift in perspective. We must start to take this pattern seriously. This isn't just a quirky personality trait or a simple case of being too nice. At this pitch, it's an illness, a chronic condition of self-abandonment. The cure involves learning what feels like a foreign language, the language of honesty. It sounds simple, but it feels revolutionary. It sounds like this, whispered first to ourselves. I don't want to be with this person anymore, even though we had some nice times and they are in many ways a good person. Or, I don't want to see this friend anymore, even though they have some good qualities and they've been kind to me. And the most powerful phrase of all, I do not need to give them what they want, even if they tell me they adore me, even if they say I'm the only one who can help. The first few times we act on this, we may be shocked by the discovery of our own backbone. It might feel harsh, even cruel. For so long, we had believed our constant accommodation was a virtue. We were the nice one, the dependable one. Now, we begin to sense an obligation to someone far more important than the first person who believes we can be useful to them. We sense an obligation to ourselves. And here is the beautiful secret. Along the way, we learn that the consequence of disappointing people is almost never as catastrophic as we fear. Our minds, conditioned by past trauma, play out a horror film of rejection, anger, and abandonment. But the reality is usually far more mundane. Not everyone is like our fragile father or irate mother. Most well-adjusted adults can take a no. They might be momentarily disappointed, but they will move on. Some may even be grateful to us for putting clear boundaries on their demands. It shows them where they stand and that we respect our own limits. There is a vast, wonderful space between the two extremes we know. The dichotomy of meek, resentful compliance on the one hand and a sudden, volcanic fury on the other, that moment when we finally snap after saying yes one too many times. This middle ground is the land of assertive grace. We can be at once civil and firm, polite and definitive. There should be classes on this sort of stuff at school for those of us who never got the lesson at home and still feel a jolt of anxiety about asking a waiter where the bathroom might be. The scripts for this new language are simple and can be learned. I'd have loved to see you, but my health isn't so good at the moment. Let me be the one to get back in touch when I'm up for it. This is powerful because it's honest, sets a boundary, and retains control of the next step. Thank you for your kind offer to help with my project. I'd have loved to take you up on this, but my circumstances make it sadly impossible. Do forgive me. This is polite, final, and requires no further justification. You don't owe anyone a detailed report of your circumstances. It's not possible is a complete sentence. We'll know we've made real progress when we learn to love the feeling of being kind to ourselves more than we fear the momentary discomfort of frustrating those we may not even like. This journey isn't about becoming cold or selfish. It's about becoming authentic. The happy ending here isn't a fairy tale, but something far more real and profound, a life lived on your own terms. It's the quiet confidence of declining an invitation without a week of spiraling guilt. It's the deep, cleansing relief of ending a relationship that no longer serves you with grace and honesty. It's the newfound space in your calendar, your mind, and your heart space that is now gloriously free to be filled with activities and people you genuinely cherish, people who love you for who you are, not for what you do for them. Ultimately, it's the realization that your peace is not a commodity to be traded for someone else's approval. It is your most precious, non-negotiable possession. If this message resonates with you, and you're ready to explore more ideas for a wiser, more fulfilling life, consider joining our community. This is a space for learning and unlearning, for finding the courage to choose ourselves. Subscribe to our channel for more content that helps us understand ourselves and navigate the beautiful, messy complexities of being human. Thank you for watching.